Hare Krishna. Today we are going to summarize chapter number 16, and the title of that chapter is The Divine and the Demoniac Natures. And before we do that, let's do some Guru Vandana. Om Gyan Tirpanandasasya Gyananjan Shalakya Chakshurunantam Yen Tasmai Shri Gurve Namaha. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवसादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। सर्वप्रथम मेरे दीक्षा गुरु श्री भक्ति विधान नारायण महाराज जी को दंडवत प्रणाम। तत्पश्चात गैलेक्सी ऑफ माय शिक्षा गुरुज सबको दंडवत प्रणाम। एंड देयर आफ्टर all the listeners who will be listening to this recording, सबको यथा योग मेरा दंडवत प्रणाम. And before we go to this chapter number 16, the divine and the Demoniac nature chapter, let's recapitulate the linkage between this chapter and the previous chapter, chapter number 15. The 15th chapter was titled The Yoga of the Supreme Person. And there we learn that this whole world, this whole planet is actually the upside down of a big banana tree. The roots of this tree are pointing upwards, and the branches and the leaves, etc., all these are down. And the more pious we are, the more spiritual we are more pointed towards the roots, and the more entangled we are in the material world, the more lower and lower we are. In that chapter, we did not learn about the fruits. There are bad fruits, there are good fruits. So in this chapter number 16, we are going to learn about the bad fruits and the good fruits. Bad fruits, the Demoniac nature people, and the good fruits, the divine nature people. Naturally, we learned in chapter number 15 that the tree should be cut. This tree should be cut, and the method of cutting this tree would be to detach yourself from the material world and go towards the root where the spiritual world is. So let's see how we have to detach ourselves from the Demoniac people and how to come out of this Demoniac nature, and good fruits and bad fruits. Good fruits, the divine people; bad fruits, the Demoniac nature. Let's see what Bhagwan Ji has to say about this thing. In Shlok number 1 to 3, Bhagwan Ji talks about the divine nature of the divinity people, the divine people. What are their qualities? He explains us about that, and these are, I'll just read out: fearlessness, purification of one's existence, cultivation of spiritual knowledge, charity, self-control, performance of sacrifice, study of the Vedas, austerity, simplicity, non-violence, truthfulness, freedom from anger, renunciation, tranquility, aversion to fault-finding, compassion of all living entities, freedom from covetousness, gentleness, modesty, steady determination, vigor, forgiveness, fortitude, cleanliness, and freedom from envy, and from the passion for honor. So these are all the transcendental qualities of the godly man. Now, in Shlok number 4 to 9, Bhagwan Ji describes and tells us about the qualities of the Demoniac people. And their qualities are pride, arrogance, conceit, anger, harshness, and ignorance. All these qualities are Demoniac nature. But to Arjun, he says, don't worry, you are born in a divine family with divine qualities. Don't consider yourself to be Demoniac person. So Bhagwanji over here says, further he says in shlok number 8, these Demoniac people, they say that this world is unreal and it has no foundation, it has no God, and the God is not in control. And they say that the population that we see around us, it is only a result of the sex desire of the Demoniac people, and they have all the desires and the causes of lust. The lust predominates in their thinking. Then in shlok number 10 to 20, Bhagwanji talks about how these Demoniac people think about what is their thinking process, what is their attitude, where do they finally end, what is their final destination, and attitude. So these are the things which Bhagwanji describes in chapter shlok number 10 to 20, and let's understand a little bit about them. And here Bhagwanji says, the Dominic people, that to gratify the senses is the prime necessity of human civilization. Thus, until the end of their life, they're anxious, immeasurable anxious, all the time anxiety, anxiety. What will happen? What will happen? I will do this. I will do this. I am the doer. I want this. I want this. I want that. So they're all the time anxiety. This will not happen. I will lose this. What will happen? So bound by a network of hundreds of thousands of desires, and they are absorbed in lust and anger. Lust and anger. These are the things which are pulling them back and attaching them to this material world. They secure money because they have so many desires. They're all the time busy in securing money, even if they have to do it illegally. Then further Bhagwanji says, they Bhagwanji talks a lot about the Dominic people, and here he says, the Dominic people, they think that I have so much of wealth and I will gain more and more tomorrow. He is my enemy. I will kill him. I have already killed him. There are some more enemies also because I have power. I will kill them also. I am the Lord of everything. I have power. I am the enjoyer. I am perfect, powerful, and happy. I am the richest man, surrounded by aristocratic relatives. There is none so powerful and happy as I am. I shall perform sacrifices. I shall give some charity, and thus I shall rejoice. In this way, such people are full of ignorance. These people are perplexed, confused by various anxieties, and bound by a network of illusions, confusions. They become too strongly attached to sense enjoyment, and they finally end up in hell. They go down to hell. That is their destination because they are not in spiritual life. They are not in divinity. They do not consider existence of God. They say that the world is a result of lusty desires of sexual relationships. That's all. They have self-complacent and always impudent, deluded by wealth and false prestige. They sometimes proudly perform sacrifices in name only, without following any rules and regulations. They do not follow and observe any rules and regulations. Whatever injections are there in the Shastras or the scriptures, they disregard them because they are powerful. They have money. They think they can do everything. They do disregard all the injunctions or rules and regulations as are prescribed in our shastras or in our scriptures. And confused with their false ego, their strength, pride, lust, and anger, the demons or the demoniacs, they become envious of the supreme personality of Godhead. Even भगवान जी से भी दे उनको जलन है, because everybody is the right-minded people. Everybody is running after Bhagwan ji, and they are envious of him, and they are also envious of all the people, all the devotees who are after Bhagwan ji, and they forget that God is sitting inside them also. They disregard their presence, and they do all types of blasphemic things of the real religion, disregard the real religion. And those who are envious and mischievous, who are the lowest among men, Bhagwan Ji says, I cast them. I cast them into the ocean of material existence, into various demoniac species of life. So much bad happens to them because of their demoniac mentality, their attitude, that Bhagwan Ji finally and in the end, he puts them into the material world and they end up in the various types of demonic species of life, downgraded species of life, maybe in the sea or in the jungles or in the trees or in the other planets or in this planet even, but not as good human beings, not as devotees. And then attaining repeated birth and death, these species, such persons can never approach Bhagwan Ji. Gradually, they sink down to the most abominable type of existence. बदतर से बदतर, गिरे से गिरा हुआ जीव, they have to spend life into that. That is the final destination of these demoniac people. Now, in shlok number 21 and 22, Bhagwan Ji gives a way of hope to such demoniac people, how they can come out of this demoniac nature of life, of this life. And to this, Bhagwan Ji says, there are three gates of hell. There are three gates which lead to hell: lust, anger, and greed. Lust, anger, and greed, three gates to hell. Every sane person, he should give up these. He should give up this lust, anger, and greed, or they lead to degradation of the soul. So the man who has escaped these three gates of hell, he performs acts conducive to self-realization and thus gradually attains the supreme destination, which is Golok Vrindavan Dham, where Bhagwan Ji himself lives. So the way out of this demoniac nature is to control and to do away with lust, anger, and greed. And then Bhagwan Ji in shlok number 23 and 24, he talks about the scriptures. He talks about the injunctions mentioned, the rules and regulations that are mentioned, how to live. That is mentioned in the Bhagavatam and the Bhagavad Gita and our scriptures, so in the Vedas. One should live according to them. And this is mentioned in shlok number 23 and 24. So Bhagwan Ji says over here, he who disregards the scriptural injunctions and acts according to his own whims, because he has powers, So he starts acting on his own and it disregards whatever is mentioned in the scriptures, in our Shastras. Then such people, they attain neither perfection, nor happiness, nor the supreme destination. And on the contrary, the one who understand all this thing, what is duty and what is not duty, by the regulations of the scriptures, knowing such rules and regulations, one would act so that he may gradually be elevated. He will come out of this demoniac nature and he will be elevated towards spirituality. So that is the learning from our chapter titled the divine and the demoniac natures. There are total 24 shloks, and what we have learned over here is that we should come out of lust, greed, and anger. And when we are able to capture this, when we are able to conquer this, when we are able to come out of this thing, we should then follow what is mentioned in the scriptures, the rules and regulations, and that would be possible only once you are in the association of sadhus, when you are in the association of saints, when you are in the association of devotees who are all the time talking of Bhagavad, Bhagavad and spirituality. So be amongst them and do your Nam Jap regularly, do your Ekashi fasting, and all the time remember and be in Krishna consciousness. And then you will be out of this demoniac nature and you will be on the path of divinity and reach the ultimate destination of Golok Vrindavan. So, with this, we come to the end of chapter number 16, and we shall now proceed to the second last chapter of Bhagavad Gita, chapter number 17. So, thank you very much with me, and we shall continue. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.